A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
And now, the life of Mary Sothern. Ever since the death of her husband, Max Sanders, Mary has found comfort in her conviction that Max is still with her. And for 2 weeks, while her friends and Sanders have searched anxiously for her, Mary has been living in the city of Craig's Falls, where she believes Max wants her to live and build a new life. Yesterday, Dr. John Benson, who has always loved Mary, reached Craig's Falls in response to the phone message of Father Brady and David, the young man who has befriended Mary. Benson was overjoyed to find Mary, but stunned by her hysterical refusal to return to Sanders. Mary grew calm only after David had taken her back with him to the boarding house, and John Benson, resentful of David's influence over her, admitted to Father Brady that he had no means of compelling her to return home, but declared that he would not go back without her. Now it is the next morning. John Benson has spent the night in Craig's Falls, hoping to persuade Mary to return to Sanders. We find Mary alone in the sitting room of the boarding house, waiting nervously for John.
Mary, darling, don't be afraid.
Oh, Max, my dear, I've been longing to hear your voice. I think I dreamed of you last night, and I felt you were very close to me ever since I woke up this morning.
I am close to you, Mary. Don't lose courage, darling. You're on the right road now. Soon you will see the way clearly before you.
I feel calm and happy today, Max, dear. It's wonderful knowing you're still with me, giving me courage to talk to John. He's been such a good friend, Max. But he doesn't understand.
Good morning, Mary.
Oh, good morning, John. I've been waiting for you, but I didn't hear the doorbell.
Daydreaming?
No.
Mrs. McPherson told me I'd find you in here. How are you today?
I feel particularly well today, John.
I'm glad to hear that. You do look rested. If you had a good night's sleep.
I slept very well. How about you? The Craig's Falls Hotel comfortable?
I was too tired to know. I could have slept on a park bench or on a concrete floor last night. It's been such a relief finding you at last.
John, one day I hope I can repay you for all the trouble and worry I've caused you.
I feel repaid this morning, Mary, seeing you looking so refreshed and beautiful. Mary, I phoned Daddy Stratford last night to tell him I'd found you, and he let out a war whoop that must have been heard all over Sanders.
Is he feeling better, John? You know, you told me yesterday he'd been sick in bed.
Yes, he's much better.
Oh, good.
You'll be able to go out of the house in a few days. But I haven't told you the real news yet.
The real news?
Yes, I meant to wait till you got back to Sanders, but Daddy Stratford thought I should tell you now.
Is it good news, John?
Of course, the very best.
Well, tell me.
Phyllis is walking a few steps every day. And before long, I think she'll be out of that wheelchair for good.
Oh, that is good news. I'm so glad. But I'm not really surprised, you know.
I know. You always were optimistic about Phyllis. You always had faith that she'd recover.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, I'm willing to admit that faith must have played a large part in her cure.
But don't you remember, John, that Max told Phyllis she'd get well? He promised that Phyllis and Danny'd have a long, happy life together.
Yes, I remember, Mary. Max was right, I'm glad to say.
Max is always right.
And, Mary, Danny has a surprise for you, too. He's taught his dog Digging Bat an amazing new trick. He says it's a greater miracle than Phyllis is walking. Can't wait till you see it.
Oh, Daddy, Phyllis, and Danny. Such dear friends. They could only understand.
Mary, as your physician, I object to your staying indoors on this beautiful day.
It is beautiful, isn't it? David's promised to take me for a long walk in the snow. He went out early, but I'm expecting him very soon.
I meant that it's a beautiful day for our drive back to Sanders. I suggest that we start now.
But, John, I thought you understood. I'm not going back to Sanders.
I know you said that yesterday, but surely you weren't serious.
I tried to tell you as clearly as I could that I'm not going back to Sanders. I'm staying here.
You don't really mean that you want to stay here indefinitely. I thought you meant a day or so longer to say goodbye to Father Brady and David.
I intend to stay here indefinitely, John. I'm sorry to disappoint you, and I don't mean to be rude or ungrateful for all you and Daddy've done. But I can't go back to Sanders.
But why not, Mary? What possible reason could there be for your staying here alone in this boarding house, in a strange city without friends?
Max told me to come here, and I'm not alone. Max is still with me.
But, Mary, it's out of the question. What will you do? What possible future can you have here?
I'm not quite sure yet, John. But Max will tell me. It's getting clearer and clearer every day. I know there was a reason for my meeting David. You know, John, I've known him somewhere before, and he's known me. He isn't a stranger.
But this is ridiculous.
Mary, are you in the city?
Oh, there he is now. Yes, David, come in.
Oh, are you ready for that walk? Oh, excuse me. I didn't know Dr. Benson was here.
That's all right. Good morning.
Good morning. We can postpone our walk until later,
Oh, no, David, I've been waiting for you. I told John I was planning to take a walk with you. I'll just run upstairs and get my coat and hat. Oh, perhaps John would like to come with us.
No, thanks. I have some phone calls to make, and I may have to drive back to the clinic if Dr. Cartwright needs me.
Well, be ready in a few minutes, David.
All right.
Mr. Drake, I want to talk to you before Mary comes back.
Yes, Dr. Benson?
It's about Mary. I think both you and Father Brady have guessed that she's not fully recovered from the shock of her husband's death.
Yes.
For that reason, she's still in a highly emotional state, and it's impossible to reason with her.
You mean impossible to persuade her to go back to Sanders with you?
To persuade her to go back to her home and her friends.
Why are you telling me this, Dr. Benson?
Because, for one thing, you seem to have an extraordinary influence over her.
You say that as if you think it's a harmful influence.
Not at all. On the contrary, I am bound to admit it appears to be a beneficial influence. You have a soothing, quieting effect on her. I don't know why or how it happened.
I think you're exaggerating the whole thing.
No, I don't think so. I have known Mary for a good many years. And in that time, there's been only one man who's had a similar influence over her. That was her husband, Max Sanders.
I'd still like to ask why you're telling me all this, Dr. Benson.
I'm coming to that. I want you to know something of Mary's background first.
I see. Why?
You understand, don't you, that the reason she's so reluctant to go back to Sanders is because she hasn't reacted normally to her husband's death. Her nature's very intense. It's only natural that it would take her longer than it takes most women to recover from the death of a man she loved.
I understood all that about Mary almost from the first moment I spoke to her.
Then you understand, too, that the reason she won't go back to Sanders is because, subconsciously, she doesn't want to see anyone who is closely associated with her husband. And at present, everyone in Sanders is identified with Max's death. Even her children.
Her children? Oh, yes. Yes, I remember the newspaper story said that she was the mother of 2 children.
We've been taking care of them at the clinic ever since Max died. But don't you see, the very fact that Mary has not been anxious to see them means that she's not in a normal condition emotionally. For normally, she's devoted to them. Mary's not the sort of woman who would neglect her children.
Dr. Benson, I wish you'd come to the point to speak frankly. Are you telling me all this because you think I've tried to keep Mary here in Craig's Falls? If you think that, you're wrong.
No, I don't think that at all. And I'm more grateful to you than I can ever tell you for having taken good care of Mary.
I don't want gratitude for having made a new friend. And I do consider Mary a friend, even though I've known her such a short while.
And it's evident that Mary values your friendship highly. So highly that, quite frankly, I'm appealing to you for help.
For help?
Yes. Mary won't listen to me. But I'm quite sure if you urged her to go back to Sanders, she would go.
You want me to ask Mary to leave Craig's Falls? To go back with you?
Yes. Please believe me. I'm asking it for Mary's sake. Although I'll be honest and admit I'll be happier when she's back there.
I wonder if you realize that you're asking a great deal.
You're fond of Mary, aren't you?
I just told you that I consider her a real friend. And to be as frank as you've been, I don't want her to go away. She says she's happier here, and I believe her.
But surely you see why she thinks she's happy here. It's because she was happy with Max and Sanders, and after his death, everything and everyone there reminded her of Max. Now, if she'll only go back, she'll find that everything will be different. Time works miracles. The only remedy for the hurt Mary suffered.
You really believe that Mary will be happier in Sanders?
I believe it's absolutely necessary for Mary's future happiness that she return home as soon as possible.
I'm ready, David. Ready for that long walk.
Yes, I'm coming, Mary.
Will you do it, David? Will you talk to her now and try to persuade her to go back with me today?
Well, I don't want to. But after all, you've known her much longer than I have. You're a doctor. Perhaps you know best. Yes. Yes, I'll talk to her now, and I'll try to persuade her to go back to Sanders.
So David promises to try to persuade Mary to leave him and return to Sanders. Has he begun to suspect John Benson's personal interest in Mary? Is this why he was so reluctant to respond to John's appeal for help?
Adventures in time and space, transcribed in future tense. Dimension The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, bring you Dimension X.
Tonight's story, First Contact, by Murray Leinster. They had been in space 6 months now, moving with the incredibly faster-than-light speed of the overdrive. In 6 months, they had gone from Earth outward and outward to the crab-like nebula with the twin stars. A routine flight of exploration and scientific research.
Solid object about 90,000 miles away, sir.
Located, Dort. Exactly. Identify it.
A small object, sir. Captain, I've never seen anything like this before. Whatever it is out there is coming toward us at an incredible speed and retreating to zero just as rapidly.
What's the mass of the object, Dort?
Well, it varies with the distance from us, sir.
Step up the scanners.
Nothing, sir. Absolutely nothing shows out there. And yet there must be something. Those alarms are foolproof.
Action stations, man all weapons. Condition of extreme alert in all departments immediately.
Captain, what is it?
Dort, I ran into the same thing once before on the Earth-Mars run. We were being located by another ship, and their locator beam was the same frequency as ours. Every time it hit, it registered as something solid and monstrous.
But, Captain, we're the only Earth ship in 18 light years around. How?
I didn't say it was another Earth ship out there, Dort.
Another race?
That's right. There's a spaceship out there, all right. But it's not manned by human beings.
It had been contemplated and speculated upon. Mathematically, it was almost a certainty that such a race existed. But in 18,000 Earth years, no human spaceship had ever encountered them. Now the situation was precipitated, and somewhere outside the Earth vessel there was an alien race. Of what shape? Of what quality? Of what psychology?
It's moving, sir. Heading right for us.
At that speed, we'll be in touch in 10 minutes. Heading right for us, huh? Just what we'd do if a strange ship appeared in our hunting grounds. Friendly? Well, maybe. We'll try to contact them. We have to do that. But friendly? Thank the Lord for the blasters.
They may not be hostile, sir.
Well, they may be. That's what I'm paid for. Put on this job for, to worry about the troubles that may never happen. To all hands, now hear this. A ship is approaching manned by an alien race. I'll give the signal for attack or defense if it be necessary. There'll be no move made unless I give the order. I do not wish to provoke trouble. Stand by.
Their ship is slowing down, sir. It's stopped.
Weapons Department, report. Weapons Department, report.
Alien ship remarked. Target fixed. Weapons alert.
Communications Department, report. Communications Department, report.
We're receiving a modulated short wave, sir. Frequency modulated. Apparently a signal. Not enough power to do us any harm.
We'll try to make some sense out of it. Report any progress to me immediately.
One thing in their favor, sir. They didn't attack immediately without question. They're trying to establish contact. That seems to indicate they're reasonable.
We'll see. What are they doing now? Can you make out the locator screen? Bring that power up.
They're doing something now, sir. There's a section of the hull opening. Probably an airlock, sir.
If they breathe there.
They're letting something out. Well, it's round. A bomb, sir?
Unknown object released from alien ship. Observed by Weapons Department and targeted.
Stand by.
See what they're doing, sir? They've left the object out there right where they were. And now they're withdrawing the ship.
There's no reason why that object couldn't be a bomb, Mr. Dort. Intended to let us think precisely as you're thinking right now.
I just have a hunch, sir. I think they're friendly. I think whatever it is out there is a means of communication.
You're probably right, but I won't gamble the ship on a probability.
Sir, I'd like to volunteer to go out there and look that thing over.
Well, you understand whoever does examine it is expendable.
Yes, sir.
Requisition a lifeboat.
If it's all right with you, sir, I'd prefer just a suit with the drive in it. It's smaller and the arms and legs won't make me look like a bomb. And I'll carry a scanner, sir.
You may leave when you're ready.
Thank you, sir.
I'm all ready. Clear the lock and let me out. Weapons Department reporting to the captain. Mr. Dort located. Mr. Dort is targeted.
Stand by. If that object out there is a device to capture one of our people for observation and questioning, it'll be blown out of existence, including Mr. Dort. Stand by. Mr. Dort. Mr. Dort. Report.
Object, as you can see on the scanner, sir, is covered with many small horns, like the detonating horns of the obsolete mines formerly used in naval warfare.
Is that their purpose, do you assume, Mr. Dort?
I'm going to find out, sir. I'm going to grab one.
Mr. Dort.
I'm here, sir. I don't think this is a mine.
Circle it so we can see it completely through your scanner.
Deadlock, sir. Nothing to report that the scanner hasn't shown you. Oh, wait a minute, sir. A section of the outer hull seems to be opening. Do you see it?
Very good, Dort. Hold that.
I'm sure it's a communications device, sir.
It looks like it. Fix your scanner so it'll focus on that communications device. Return to the ship.
Communications Department. Progress report, please.
We've established communication, sir.
Is there a psychologist on the team down there with you?
Yes, sir. Mr. Burns is working with us.
Will both of you please report to the bridge at once?
Oh, you look tired, Dort.
We've established fairly satisfactory communication, sir. They seem to have highly developed thought patterns. We got a satisfactory translation from the machine on the fourth attempt. We can say almost anything we want to say to each other now. Of course, how much of what they tell us is the truth, we have no way of knowing.
Mr. Burns, you're the psychologist. What do you think?
Well, I don't know, sir. They seem to be completely direct. They haven't let slip even a hint of the tenseness we know exists. They act as if they were setting up a means of communication for friendly conversation, but, well, there's an overtone that...
Yeah. Well, Mr. Burns, I have a decision to make. On the one hand, opening contact with the friendly people of a vastly different culture could only be beneficial to us of Earth. On the other hand, if they're hostile, I ought to blast them out of existence without any other preliminaries.
Oh, but, sir, you can't...
I'm not talking to you, Dort.
It's not warranted yet, sir.
Yes. Now, hear this, all departments. Hear this, all departments. This ship is on an extended alert. Provisions will be made so that personnel can have maximum rest and nourishment.
Communication continued by means of the artificial language set up arbitrarily between the Earthmen and the aliens, decoded by the mechanical decoders. Dort disobeyed orders. He lived on powerful stimulants so that he could stay with the communications machine. Talking to the aliens.
Other people. Are we being received?
We are receiving your message.
The chief of this ship wishes to speak with the chief of your ship.
The message is heard by the chief of this ship. The chief of this ship communicates that he will hear the message of the chief of that ship.
Go ahead, sir.
People of the other ship, I'd like to say the appropriate things about this first contact of two dissimilar civilized races, and of my hopes that a friendly intercourse between the two peoples will result.
People of that ship, What you say is all very well, but is there any way for us to let each other go home alive?
That's all, sir. They've stopped sending.
Very direct people. Very direct.
But, sir, I don't follow. I didn't know what that meant. Is there any way for us to let each other go home alive?
It means what it says, Dort.
Sir, what's to stop us from just cutting communication and leaving, and they can do likewise?
What's to stop us? Simply that whichever ship leaves first will be followed by the other. If they find Earth and get back to their own planet and we don't know where that planet is, Earth will be completely at their mercy. If they leave first, we'll follow them. We'll attempt to find their home planet. Dort, could you swear to any decision that the policymakers on Earth will come to?
Sir, even if they do follow us, the closer we get to home, the more of our ships and weapons they'll face. They'd never get away.
Well, how do you know that they can't communicate with their home planet without returning?
We can't, sir.
How do you know they can't?
I don't, sir.
So that's the situation. We'll sit out here, facing each other, trying to outguess each other, until time wears us out. And we'll have to face the fact. Either they destroy us or we destroy them. Navigation officer, attention. Navigation officer, attention. Every star map on this ship is to be prepared for instant destruction.
The chief of this ship wishes to know whether the chief of that ship can suggest an answer to the problem concerning us both.
Do you want me to answer that, sir?
I'll answer it myself. Tell me when to talk.
Now, sir.
I am giving that matter personal attention. Every effort will be bent to the solution of this problem. Will you consider a temporary truce in the meantime?
What would a truce gain? Could we trust you? Would you trust us? I suggest that we continue as we have up to this particle of time.
I agree. Sign off, George.
Weeks went by, and during the weeks, the exchange of information continued without let-up.
What particle of time are the people on that ship at?
The resting time. All rest except myself and others on alert duty.
Same on this ship.
You people of that ship are very similar in many ways. Do you have a family?
I have a mate.
I have a mate and 3 offspring. It is too bad for them, as well as us, to have to kill each other.
This ship can't see any way out of it. Can that ship?
If we could believe each ship, yes. Our chief would like it. But we can't believe you, and you are afraid that we do not tell truth, although we do. This ship would trail you home if this ship were able to. That ship would do the same. But this ship feels sorry about me.
I believe you're a friend.
I share your belief and like you. But there is a possibility that you were put to make a trap for me. I will stop now and think it over.
Just sit down, Dort. Control yourself. We're all under tension. Doesn't do any good to pace like some caged animal.
Yes, sir.
All right, now I've read the complete transcription of your conversations with this one alien. What does it prove, Dort?
Sir, these people are so much like us in their thinking. Well, sir, they're likable.
They're likable and they breathe oxygen. Their air is 28% oxygen instead of 20. But they could do very well on Earth. It'd be a highly desirable conquest for them. Dort, I'm as set against violence as you are. I don't see any way out of this. And I think we've got to break this status quo. So if in 70 hours we don't see any other way, then I have no further choice. I'll blow them to bits.
Will that ship receive communications? Will that ship receive communications?
This ship is listening.
It seems to me better to communicate than to sit by the machine. silently.
I would have called you, but you signed off before.
The problem goes around and around. I find no answer.
Perhaps we could turn our thoughts to other things.
The psychologist of this ship tells us that you people on that ship have a threshold of tolerance to tension. He tells us that you will be forced to take one action or another in a period of less than 100 time particles.
I have no communication on this matter.
Well, the ship is not trying to extract unwilling information from that ship. A truth is mentioned in passing.
A report of this conversation will be carried to the chief of this ship.
It would be so. We are prepared.
If only the people of this ship could meet in direct contact with the people of that ship, it might be better.
We could not communicate then. The communications machine is too large to carry from place to place. In direct contact, the peoples of the two ships would be further apart than now.
That's true.
I am sad. Much that is pleasant has passed between us.
I am sad, too.
We are not yet ready for each other.
We are not yet ready for each other.
It's hard, isn't it, Doc?
Well, Captain, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were here, sir.
I've been here for quite a while. Eavesdropping, I'm afraid.
It's all right, sir. Nothing can be personal in a situation like this.
Yeah, that's right. How long is 100 time particles, Dort?
Pardon, sir?
That reference he made to us not being able to stand tension is interesting. Their psychologists seem to make more out of us than we do out of them, don't they?
Yes, sir. They hit the nail right on the head.
Yes, they did. I think, Dort, we'll just have to push our timetable up a bit. No further communication with the aliens under any circumstances. That's clear, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Sir, if they know so much about our psychology, isn't it possible that remark was intended to make us act more quickly?
Probable, Dort. Probable.
Well, why would they do that, sir? Why?
You tell me why, Dort.
All of a sudden, I have an idea, sir. That's crazy.
It doesn't matter how crazy. I'll listen to it.
Sir, I think these people are playing some kind of a joke on us.
Joke? A joke, Dort?
Yes, sir. Over and over again, I've noticed what I think is a sense of humor. A highly developed sense of humor. Do you recall when we went to all the trouble to set up a fictitious star map and then they just sent us back a mirror image of the same one? I think somehow they're playing a joke on us.
Well, maybe you're right. In which case, you've seen practical jokers, Dort. Their jokes aren't always funny. Sometimes they hurt people. All departments, man, instant alert. All departments, man, instant alert. Report instantly. Report instantly.
Weapons Department alerted.
Target, the enemy ship.
On target, sir.
Stand by. Fire!
They're gone, sir. Not a trace of them left. Not a tiny trace. Now we can go home.
Communications to Captain. Communications to Captain.
Report.
Sir, I'm picking up new signals. Same frequency as the original alien signal.
That's impossible. That ship was destroyed.
I'm receiving signals, sir.
Set the machine up. We'll be down there in a minute. Mr. Dort, come with me, please.
It's good to be on the way home. Yes, it is good. Do you suppose we'll ever figure out what happened to the other ship? Never. A blinding flash and they were gone. I suppose they couldn't figure a way out of the situation. An unstable people. They had no sense of humor to cope with the situation. They exploded themselves out of existence. It seems reasonable. They must have had powerful weapons to destroy themselves so completely. Yes, what a shame. In a way, I grew to like them.
This isn't meant for us, sir. I don't know what's happening, but I think we're overhearing a private conversation.
I understand, Dort. Be quiet, will you?
Many things might have come out of a relationship with that people.
They were describing a disease they call cancer. I think it is similar to the Frogren syndrome. We might have helped him.
They might have helped us, too. Well, too bad. We'll never find them again, I think. The odds of such a chance meeting in the vast space of the whole universe. There are no figures for such odds, are there?
Turn it up, Gort. Turn it up louder.
That's all there is, sir. The signal stopped there. Sir, I don't know how, but somehow when we fired at them, we didn't destroy them, but we did set up a condition whereby they've become invisible to us and we've become invisible to them.
Captain to Engineering Department. Halt, forward motion.
Captain, why are we stopping?
Listen, Dort, you say they're invisible. All right, they are. But they're not destroyed because we just heard them. They're out there somewhere. Invisible.
Well, you heard them, sir. They're heading for home. We're invisible to them, too, sir.
How do you know, Dort? How do you know this whole thing isn't a setup?
Well, suppose that's true, Captain. You heard their conversation. They weren't talking like any monstrous people. They seemed decent and warm, just as decent and warm as we are.
How do you know this conversation wasn't planned, deliberately set up for us to hear? How do you know that, Dort?
Yes, sir, you're right. They may be out there and they may not. They may be telling the truth or they may be trying to trick us. They may be friends or they may be the most deadly enemies.
You said they had a sense of humor, Dort. What a joke to play. To deliberately set up a situation where we wouldn't know fact from fantasy, truth from lie. Wouldn't that be a joke, Dort?
Yeah, but we don't know that they did that, sir.
And we don't know that they didn't. We don't know anything.
Sir, does that mean we never go home again?
I don't know. I have to think about it. I have to think about it.
You have just heard another adventure into the unknown world of the future. The world of...
Dimension X.
Dimension X is presented each week by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of the magazine Astounding Science Fiction. Your host was Norman Rose, music by Albert Berman. Dimension X is produced by William Welch and directed by Fred Way.
First Contact, written by Murray Leinster and adapted for radio by Howard Rodman. Featured in the cast were Wendell Holmes, Bob Hastings, Clark Gordon, William Lally, and Stan Early. Your announcer, Fred.
Once more, the Gregory party has returned safely from the Magic Island, bringing with them the entire colony of Euclideans from the strange underwater city. Mrs. Gregory has arranged the funds with which to endow a sort of combined laboratory, college, and prison to house these scientists and allow them to continue their work under guard. Naturally, it's been a busy time for our friends. We find them now 1 week after their arrival at Los Angeles. Jerry and Joan are out seeing the town. Joan for her first real view of our world, and Jerry showing her around. In the radio room in Mrs. Gregory's home, Captain Bradford is explaining to Pat why he believes certain things.
But it doesn't make sense, Tex.
Why, sure it does, Pat. Now listen to this. G47 disappeared, and that's the last we'll ever hear of him.
Why should that explain it?
We've broken up his colony, imprisoned all his co-workers, and soon the Magic Island will be only a memory. G47 couldn't stand that.
Oh, you're wrong, Tex. I'm sure you're just as wrong as you can be. G47 has given his life to the study of science, and he'll never quit.
That part of it may be all right, but we'll never hear of him again, and that brings up another problem.
It brings up a good many, I think.
Oh, forget it, Pat. I didn't mean it that way. I was thinking that now these scientists are without a head, they've looked to G47 to lead them in all their work. Just how much are they going to accomplish without him?
I thought of that, Tex. And I've asked a number of scientists and educators to take over the job, but none of them seem very keen about it.
We'll have to get someone.
The only chance is Professor Hubbard.
Sure, he'd be the ideal man, but he's in Europe.
No, he arrived in town today. I saw it in the Distinguished Arrivals column.
Is he here to stay?
No, vacationing, the article said.
And you expect a man of his reputation, who's probably taken the first vacation he's had in years, to step into a job such as the running of that institution?
I'm not lacking in nerve, anyhow. I sent a note to his hotel asking him to call tonight.
Well, you know him and I don't. You'll have to handle him.
And that reminds me. If you're going to try to call McLeod, you'd better do it now. The professor may be here any time.
Good idea, Pat. Poor old Mac must think it's a funny kind of life down there in that underwater city.
It's awfully lonesome for him. With just those 2 sailors out of the crew, waiting for weeks for another boat to come and take them off.
Yeah, but don't forget the pigs and the chickens and cows. Mac's got plenty of company.
Well, even so, it's not a pleasant job.
Of course it isn't, Pat. I was only joking. Mac's a grand guy, or he wouldn't have volunteered to stay there. But I couldn't stand the thought of all those splendid animals being destroyed when we flood Euclidia.
And you did perfectly right, Tex. The Euclideans have developed domestic livestock to a fine point, and we'll be able to do a good deal with that collection.
In the meantime, I'd better try to get Mac. Bradford to McLeod. Bradford to McLeod. Gregory Home Station to Euclidia. Hello, Mac. Hello. Why should it take Mac so long to answer? I told him to be ready at this time every night.
Well, remember that he doesn't claim to be a radio engineer, and after all, we're 4,000 miles away from Euclidia. Don't expect him to operate that radio as well as Thales did.
No, that's the trouble. No one does anything as well as those blame Euclideans did it.
Hello, Captain Bradford. This is Angus McLeod calling Captain Bradford. Can you hear me, Captain?
You bet I can, Mac. Go right ahead with your report.
I have little to report. All is well.
He'd say that if the city was flooded.
Hasn't anything happened, Mac?
Not a single solitary thing.
No water leaking into the city from the island?
None. We found a half-dozen steel safety gates in the tunnel leading down from the island. We closed them, and there's no danger now.
Well, it's only about another 8 or 9 days, Mac, and that cattle boat will arrive there to pick you up.
Aye, Captain. I'll be ready for it. Is that all?
That's all.
Then if you'll excuse me, I'll get along to my pigs. Good night.
Night, Mac.
I wonder if Mac doesn't realize that conversation is free.
He sure treats it like an antique, but he gets his work done.
And instead of being lonesome, he's worrying about his pigs. Euclidia does funny things to people. Yes?
It's Joan and me, Mrs. Gregory.
Well, come in.
Jerry Hall, how many times have I told you to say it is Joan and I, not Joan and me?
Oh, okay, then. It's us.
That'll do nicely, Jerry.
What have you two been doing?
We have been enjoying ourselves.
You have.
Well, now what?
Well, we were supposed to go to a show after I took Joan through one of the big stores downtown, but we were still in the store at closing time. And what do you think we were doing?
Whatever it was, Joan looks like she enjoyed it.
It is very nice. I want Jerry to take me down there again tomorrow.
Oh, I will not.
Well, for heaven's sakes, what is it?
Well, Joan got started riding those blame escalators, and I couldn't get her off them.
Is that so funny?
Well, it wasn't funny to me after about the 200th time we rolled up and down.
You must have had quite a time, Jerry.
Yeah, I did.
I don't blame you a bit, Joan. I ride those things a lot more than I need to, just for fun.
There, you see, the captain likes to ride them.
Okay, then, okay. The next day you feel one of those up and down tours coming on. Let the captain take it.
Well, I wish I could have seen you. Oh, Joan, I'm so happy to have you back home and riding escalators in a store rather than elevators on Euclidia.
Yeah, sure a lot safer here.
Oh, gee. Golly whisk.
What is it, Jerry?
We forgot.
Oh, Jerry, so we did.
Something important?
Well, I don't know. But there's a funny-looking old man down in the living room.
A man in the living room, Jerry?
Yes, Mother.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry and I met him at the gate, and he said that you had asked him to call.
Professor Hubbard.
Sounds like it.
We mustn't keep him waiting. Come, Tex.
How about Jerry and Joan?
Oh, don't worry about us. We'll find something to do.
I wish we might ride those escalators again.
Oh.
No, I think you two should come along. The professor is a very interesting man, probably the outstanding scientist in the world today, and a man of whom I'm going to ask a very great favor.
Oh, sure. We'll be glad to go if you want us.
Well, then let's hurry and all go.
Should we not lock the door of this radio room?
Oh, Joan, dear, we're in Los Angeles now, not on Euclidia.
We had to be careful once, though, when Hollywood was full of Euclideans.
These are very beautiful stairs, Mother. But would it not be nice if they were...
Joan, if you ask your mother to put a moving stairway in here, I'll think of something to do to you.
Now, you two be quiet. You're going to meet an important man, and Mrs. Gregory is going to ask him
Quiet, Tex. Good evening, Professor Hubbard.
Mrs.
Gregory.
Oh, I'm sorry you've been kept waiting, but the young people forgot to tell us you were here.
That is the usual penalty for age, is it not? To be forgotten by the young.
So good of you to come, Professor. This is Captain Bradford. Tex, Dr. Hubbard.
Heard a lot about you, Professor. This is a real pleasure.
That pleasure is mutual, Captain. I have long wanted to meet so able a scientist who was level-headed enough to think of other things occasionally.
May I present my daughter, Joan? We've just had Joan with us a short time.
You need not tell me of that, Mrs. Gregory. The story of your daughter's discovery on that unique island in the South Seas is common property. You are an interesting young lady, lovely as your mother. And to be interesting and lovely is an accomplishment.
And this is Jerry Hall.
You were one of the searching party, were you not, Jerry?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm not interesting or lovely, but I got as much fun out of it as the rest of them did.
Yes, you would. Well, Mrs. Gregory, it's a genuine pleasure to see you again, and I should like nothing better than to spend an evening talking about the days when my name was little known, and you generously financed an expedition for me. But the urgency in your note leads me to believe that this is more than a social call.
It is. And if you'll all make yourselves comfortable, I'd like to outline a plan I have, and then ask my favor of you.
Anything within my power?
You can't imagine the sort of favors I've learned to ask in the last few months. To begin at the beginning, we found this strange island with Joan safely living there. But these men, Euclideans they called themselves, were not too friendly. And knowing the captain had a formula they would give much to have, they made us prisoners, in the hope of securing the formula as ransom. Well, we managed to escape, however, and after several attempts, used the same formula to capture their underwater city.
I am aware of all that. Now, you have brought these Euclideans, as they choose to call themselves, back here under guard. Placed them in an endowed institution where they may continue their almost fanatic pursuit of science. But you are making sure their discoveries are to be used only for good in the world. Is that correct?
Perfectly.
You seem well informed on this whole thing.
I am well informed. You may be surprised when you learn just how well informed I am. I know that your reason for inviting me to call here this evening was for the purpose of asking me to take charge of your scientific, shall we say, college.
How did you guess that?
It was hardly a guess. Your colony is without a head now. Those men need a leader, and you neglected the little matter of bringing their leader with you.
Tex, do you realize what the professor has just said?
Yes, but what's more important, I'm beginning to get an idea why he said it and how he knew all about this.
I am pleased with you, Captain Bradford. You think very rapidly. And unless I am much mistaken, the young people are wondering if certain characteristics of voice and manner are not familiar to them.
Jerry, do you?
Yeah, I do.
But you've been active in Europe all these years.
In my spare time, I have managed to be seen in scientific circles in Europe, that is true. But I spent little time there.
You are G47?
Yes. I am G47, head of Euclidia, and greatest scientist in the world.
Jerry, think of that.
My head won't work anymore. You think.
Well, Professor, you place us in a strange position. You realize, of course, that your identity as a professor is established. That it would be utterly impossible for us to prove that you were ever G47.
That is true.
This is all a little too much for me.
Well, look, why not let the professor, or G47, or whatever he wants to call himself, take charge of your college?
I think that is an excellent idea, Mother.
You hit it, Jerry. Regardless of the identity of this gentleman, he is the only man in the world who can get from that group of scientists the treasures they are capable of making.
I am glad you are so sensible. I will accept the position as head of this novel institution and will conduct its affairs to the best of my ability. One thing I must have understood. No one was ever harmed on Euclidia. And in the future, any of my people who desire to return to your society must be allowed to do so. As for myself, I had rather be a Euclidean than a free citizen of any country. Tomorrow morning, if you care to visit your scientific colony, you will find me working with the rest, and I will never leave without your permission. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
He's gone, vanished as silently down that hall as he used to do on Euclidia.
He'll take the job and run your place to perfection.
It gave me a strange sensation.
Me too. There's something mighty powerful about that man.
Indeed there is, Jerry. There's something big about any man who will go into a prison of his own free will to be near the thing he loves, and G47 loves science.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, the accident on the Unity House baseball field has far-reaching consequences as Chuck Riggs, under instructions from his uncle, attends a strange and secret meeting.
Hello there, gang. This is your pal, Dan McCullough. You know, this week's Pep Dish of the Week is sure hitting a lot of home runs for a lot of appetites. Makes breakfast a big league affair. It's a strawberry doubleheader, right in tune with the times and your taste. Here's the idea. You put half your regular serving of Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine cereal, in the bottom of your bowl. Then a juicy layer of crushed fresh strawberries. Finish off with more Pep and a few plump berries that you've saved out. Add milk and sugar and pitch into your strawberry doubleheader. What a team. Fine ripe berries sandwiched between layers of Kellogg's Pep. A pennant winner, believe me, because Pep is crisp and tender and light. Pep is loaded with that sparkling sunshine flavor that gives your appetite the old come on. Why, Kellogg's Pep always tastes so terrific, you don't waste any time finishing off every spoonful in your bowl. Now, that helps avoid wasting cereal, you know, which is particularly important these days when the cereal grains are being sent to fellows and girls all around the world. So, gang, when Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's, keep this in mind. It's easy, and it's important nowadays to eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Bad feeling between two boys on the Unity House baseball team has resulted in a threat of serious trouble for manager Jimmy Olsen and young Tommy Lee. Jealous because Tommy had supplanted him as number one pitcher, a boy named Chuck Riggs heckled him in batting practice, and when crowding the plate, was accidentally struck in the head. That evening, Chuck told his Uncle Matt what had happened, and was surprised to hear his uncle insist that Tommy had beamed him deliberately. Playing on the boy's bitterness, Matt Riggs coached him in what he was to say at a certain secret meeting that night. And as we continue now, Matt is driving his nephew high into the dark, wooded hills above Metropolis. Listen.
Look, where are we going, Uncle Matt?
I told you, to a secret meeting.
What kind of a meeting?
You'll find out when we get there. But remember, you're not to breathe a word of what you see or hear to anyone. Not to anyone, do you understand?
Yeah, sure, but what's
all right, now don't ask any more questions. This is important to me, so remember, Chuck. That boy, Tommy Lee, deliberately beamed you today. He wanted to kill you.
Gee, I don't know, Uncle Matt. It might have been an accident. You know, I was crowding the plate.
Would you get that stuff out of your head? It wasn't an accident. He did it on purpose. He was afraid you'd win back your position on the team, so he wanted to get you out of the way, don't you see?
I really think he did.
I know he did. Now, remember what I told you. Answer all my questions correctly, and we'll fix him plenty good.
Carefully drilling his nephew to make him believe the false version of the baseball accident, Matt Riggs drives to the top of a hill, then turns down a rutted, weed-grown road which winds between the trees. Suddenly, they come into an opening, and as the car stops, Chuck gasps at the strange scene before him. In a glade, casting weird shadows over the nearby hills and lighting the sky above, burns a huge wooden cross. Before it kneel 100 men clothed in long robes. Pointed hoods, slit only at the eyes, cover their heads and faces, and a low guttural chant issues harshly from their hidden lips, sending an uneasy chill through Chuck's blood. While the boy looks about him at the fearsome sight, Matt Riggs dons a robe and hood on which a pale blue scorpion is embroidered. Then, followed by Chuck, he approaches the kneeling hooded band, a strangely barbaric company in the dancing light of the flaming cross.
Gosh, who are all these guys, Uncle Matt? And why are you wearing the sheets and hoods?
We're the clan of the Fiery Cross, Chuck.
The Clan of the Fiery Cross.
Right. We're a great secret society pledged to purify America. America for 100% Americans only. One race, one religion, one color.
I don't get it. America's got all kinds of religions and colors.
When we get through, there'll only be one.
Only one? But the Constitution says all Americans have the same rights and privileges.
Constitution. We'll change that. Now be quiet. Be quiet until I call on you.
Attention, brothers. All hail the Grand Scorpion.
Brothers, in the clan of the Fiery Cross, supreme authority vested by me as Grand Scorpion, I hereby call this secret session open. Arise now, and by the light of the flaming symbol of our creed, make the sign of fealty to our sacred vows.
Rising to their feet, the robed and hooded figures solemnly place their right hands over their hearts, and crossing the first two fingers of their left hands, extend them toward the burning wooden cross. As under their breaths, they repeat the anti-democratic oath of the Klan.
Brothers, as your leader, I felt it my duty to call this special secret meeting tonight because of something of terrific importance to all of us that took place today. Something proving that our sworn enemies have risen against us. That they have already struck the first blow and are preparing to strike more blows at real Americans through our children. Here beside me stands a fatherless American boy who is today the first victim of our sworn enemies. Today an attempt was made by vermin, filthy scum, who have moved into our community on the life of this American boy. Now wait, brothers, wait and listen. I want you to hear this terrible story from this unfortunate young victim's own lips. Okay, Chick. Now you tell him the story, and tell it just the way I told you to. Make no mistakes, you understand?
Well, I used to be the pitcher on the Unity House baseball team, and I was fired from that position when a new guy joined up.
Yeah. And tell us about this boy, Chuck. Is he like us Americans?
No, sir.
Could he ever be like us Americans?
No, sir.
Are his family Americans?
Well, they're citizens, but...
Yeah, answer the question. Are they good 100% Americans?
No, sir.
No. Now go on with your story. What happened today?
Well, we had team practice today, and I was up at bat. This kid was pitching, and he deliberately threw a fast ball and beamed me.
Tell us how you know this attempt to kill you with a pitched ball was deliberate, Chuck.
Well, he said he'd get me because he wanted to make sure he'd keep the pitching spot,
And what else?
And because when he won the boys' league championship game, why, it'd give his kind of people a sort of weapon to use against American folks like us.
Good work, Chuck. It did swell. Well, did you hear that, brothers in the Klan? That young whelp who is not a true American, who can never be a true American, tried to kill this fatherless American boy. And why? Because he has been schooled by his kind and their foreign sympathizers to strike against our plans for a pure, clean America. An American free from mixed races, mixed colors, and mixed religions. Are we going to stand idly by and see this scum weasel their way into our neighborhoods and our jobs? Are we going to stand by and watch their striking at our children and yours and mine? No, indeed, we strike back, and the time is now. So get set for action. The Fiery Cross burns tonight.
Hard hammering with fear, Chuck Riggs begins to feel the icy fingers of doubt creeping up his spine as he watches the fanatical fury aroused in the hooded men by his Uncle Matt against what he knows to be a family innocent of offense. But he is powerless to stop the frenzied clan's first act of blood-chilling violence scheduled to take place that night. The following morning, Jim Olson is alone in the Unity House locker room when Tommy Lee enters, his face wan and drawn.
Oh, hiya, Tommy. You're late for practice. Hurry up and get into your uniform. No, Jim. I'm quitting the team. What? Oh, now look, Tommy. You can't do this to us. But we need you. Why, your pitching is the mainstay of the team. We'd fall apart without you.
It's swell of you to say that.
Oh, I mean it. Gotta have you for today's game. It's the playoff in the semifinals.
Well, look, you know I'm not just doing this to let you and the other fellas down. It's just that... Well, I guess I might as well tell you. Last night, a burning cross was planted on our front lawn by a bunch of men wearing hoods and gowns.
What?
You know what that means to my family, don't you?
Sheepers. That sounds like the Fiery Cross Clan. But why you and your family?
If you don't know, Jim, I can't tell you.
I know how I can find out. Look, you go home and sit tight, Tommy. I'm going to see Mr. Kent and tell him about this. And right away. I'll see you later.
Worried at the thought of losing his star pitcher and puzzled by Tommy's startling story, Jim Olsen rushes off to seek the aid of Clark Kent. What is behind this un-American threat to personal freedom and safety? We'll know more in a moment, so stand by for the startling climax of today's episode.
Say there, what's the lowdown on breakfast at your house? Do you eat the solid sort of meal that helps start your day in high? Well, here's the dope about a breakfast dish that'll tease your appetite so you'll want to eat hearty. It's Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine cereal, as terrific a treat as you'd ever hope to taste. Now, that Sunshine business is no fooling, you know. Pep fairly sparkles with sunny, golden toasted flavor. It even looks sunny and golden in the dish. And when you start to spoon it up, what a come-on you get. Your appetite sure wakes up smiling. Yes, sir, you can latch onto those crisp, tender flakes of Kellogg's Pep. And you get the good out of Pep's hearty whole wheat nourishment plus. So eat it all up, gang. Polish off your morning dish of Kellogg's Pep clean as a whistle. Because that's one way to keep from wasting it. And waste is particularly bad nowadays when we're sending the cereal grains to help give good nourishment to fellows and girls overseas. Think of that when Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's. Handle the package carefully if you pour your own Pep. And say, keep an eye on your younger brothers and sisters, too. You're on the beam if you eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
Alarmed when his star pitcher, Tommy Lee, told him he must quit the team because of a flaming cross, the terrifying warning symbol of the Fiery Cross Clan that was placed on the Lee lawn last night, Jim Olsen rushed to the Daily Planet, where we find him now discussing the outrageous incident with Clark Kent.
I didn't know the Fiery Cross Clan was even organized in Metropolis, Mr. Kent.
Neither did I, Jim. This is very bad news.
And how? Another thing that gets me is why they're picking on Tommy Lee and his family.
Who are the Lees, Jim? Would I know them?
I don't know, but I think you'd know about Tommy's father.
Huh?
He's the man who was just appointed city bacteriologist.
Oh, he is, eh?
Uh-huh. Do you know him?
No, I don't, but I know now at least one reason why they've been singled out by that hooded mob.
You do?
Mm-hmm. I also know that they're in danger, Jim. Very great danger.
Why? What did they do to...
Oh, it isn't what they've done, it's what they are. Do you know where they live?
Sure, but gee whiz, Mr. Kent, why...
Come on. I'll answer your questions on the way, Jim. We've got to put a stop to this sort of thing before it goes any further. But before we do anything, we're going to have a talk with Tommy Lee. Let's go.
Unaware that he, too, has been marked for the future vengeance of the hooded band by its leader, Matt Riggs, Jim Olsen hurries out after Clark Kent, still puzzled by the reason for the un-American attack on Tommy Lee's family. Why are these people the object of the vicious secret band's fanatical hatred? And what will happen to the Lees and to Jim Olsen if this grim, cowardly warning of intolerance is ignored? Tomorrow's episode is tense and exciting as Superman begins a fight against the most dangerous enemies to personal freedom and democracy in America. Tune in, same time, same station. Don't miss it.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine cereal. Say, kids, if you're training your dog, try rewarding him for good behavior with Kellogg's Grow Pup. There's the dog food that makes a hit with dogs right from the word go. Gives them swell, meaty flavor and gives them 3 different kinds to pick from. Grow Pup Ribbon, Grow Pup Meal, and Grow Pup Pellets. All full of what it takes to help keep a dog right on the beam, to help build strong bones and teeth and muscles. That's why lots of champs feed on Grow Pup. So ask Mother to get Kellogg's Grow Pup for your dog today. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday grind? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape.
Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You are walking the streets of an Indian city. Terrifying, sweltering streets. While the man you fear has already made his mark on you. A mark from which there can be no escape.
So listen now as Escape brings you James Leal Henderson's frightening story, The Untouchable.
It was a shame about Rydell's having to go to India. It was a shame about the leprosy, too. He was a little man, balding, pale, and in his early 40s. He was fussy and precise, an absolute fanatic about cleanliness. So you can see he was the last man on earth to send to India, even with his wife Prudence along to take care of him. Rydell and I were thrown together on a job. We met for the first time in the Hotel Imperial in Delhi. He was a chemical engineer, and I'm a construction engineer. We'd been hired separately to look over the possibilities of a chemical plant in India. It was a job I needed badly. I bounced around the globe a lot. Asia's not too bad when you get to know it, but Rydell, well, the poor guy was in misery. He was right out of a Cleveland suburb and terrorized by a germ. We had been in New Delhi a week, and I couldn't move Henry Rydell out of the hotel, even for business. He'd walled himself off and just sat brooding about India's squalor beyond the window. I'd worked my head off for the two of us, getting things set up, and then it came time to go on tour around the country and look for a plant site. I went to his hotel room one afternoon. He was standing at the open window, looking down at the street.
Hello, Fred. Back, eh?
Uh-huh. I've been in 14 government offices. Count 'em, Henry, 14. But we're squared away now. Oh, boy, I'm knocked out.
I'm sorry, but I just didn't feel up to going with you today.
Yeah, I know. How do you feel? Take all your pills?
Yes. Mm-hmm. But I'd feel a lot better if that snake charmer would stop playing that screechy pipe. It's been driving me crazy. And those cobras being so near.
And believe me, Henry, those are the sickest snakes on earth. They wouldn't bite on invitation. Well, why don't you just tell him to go away?
He's filthy, Fred. I wouldn't go near him.
He doesn't want to dance with you. He wants some money. Well, I'll get rid of him. Hey, Snake Walla. Here you are, Walla. Nice fat rupee. Now, no more music. You understand? No more. Go.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Now we can talk, Henry. First, how about a drink?
Sure, Fred. I'll have one with you. Scotch?
Yeah, fine.
Fred, I'm afraid I've only got one glass left that's been put in boiling water.
Just give me a glass, Henry. Any glass will do.
You should be more careful. A British fellow was telling me yesterday...
The whiskey will kill the germs, if any. Look, Henry, I know you've asked the company for a replacement, but we haven't got time to wait for him. You're going to have to go on this trip yourself.
You'll
have to. We made an agreement.
I know, but nobody told me it was going to be like this. Nothing safe to eat. Water buffalo. Who ever heard of eating a water buffalo? And the vegetables will kill you.
No, let's not go through that again.
Oh, hello, Fred. How are you? You look tired.
Oh, hello, Prue. I am tired. Rough day. Yeah, that's a nice piece of ivory.
Isn't it? Buddha. Very old. I wanted you and Henry to see it. I bought it down in the bazaar.
How can you stand it down in those dirty bazaars?
Oh, Henry, don't be silly. Well, if you two are going...
No, I'd like you to stay for a minute, if you will, Prue. I think you ought to hear this. I just told Henry that we can't stall on this trip one day longer, so I've bought 2 tickets for tonight's flight to Bombay. That's going to be our first stop.
Tonight?
Yeah.
I won't do it, Fred. I just can't. Jumping around this terrible country, you can never tell what will happen to you. And what about Prudence? No, Fred, you've got to wait. I just don't feel well at
We've got
all.
a job to do, Henry. Now, pull yourself together. Prue can't come. Accommodations are tight, and we'll probably have to travel around the sticks. It's fairly primitive sometimes, and it just won't work with her along. I'll take good care of you. We'll boil everything. We'll boil a whiskey if you insist.
How long do you think it'll be, Fred?
Oh, 3 weeks maybe, no longer.
3 weeks?
Henry, it'll be all over soon, and we'll be back home.
Yes, but Prudence, I just don't feel right about this. I'm afraid.
You must go, Henry. Fred's depending on you. We'll be ready, Fred. I'll pack for him.
Well, we got off all right with Prudence pushing from behind. We flew down from Delhi and landed at the Bombay airport at first light. Then we climbed aboard the airline bus for the long ride through town to the Taj Mahal Hotel. Good Lord, it was hot. Vicious. The air was pure steam. You couldn't breathe. On the walks, the homeless were beginning to stir. Thousands of them. No place to live, no place to go. The human wreckage of Asia.
It is so hot.
Bad. No, it is just before the monsoon. Well, we'll get us an air-conditioned room, Henry, a cool bath, nice mango for breakfast.
Fresh fruit? Oh, not for me.
Taj is a good hotel, Henry, and Bombay is pretty modern, even with all the poor you've been seeing on the streets. You'll see. Well, come on. This is it. There's a nice, cool bath waiting.
Fred, look.
What? Oh, yeah. Poor devil.
Fred, look at him. What is it? I've never seen anything so horrible. His hands, look.
He's a leper, Henry. Come on, he won't hurt you.
Fred, don't let him touch me. Don't let him.
Come on, Henry. I'm hot and I want to get out of here. Now, come on.
Bakshish for a sick man, Sab. Sab. 1 rupee, Sab.
Here. Take it easy, Willa. All right, Henry, let's go.
Oh, Fred, his hands. They were horrible.
After seeing the leper, it was 3 days before I could drag Henry Rydell out of the hotel for a business meeting in town. And when I did, he clung to me like a little boy lost. But we did make some headway on our plans, and I felt more cheerful after the meeting. I talked Henry into having dinner in a Chinese restaurant a few blocks from the hotel. The place was spotless. The food was good. Henry stoked up on rice, and I almost caught him smiling once. Then afterwards, we sauntered back to the hotel through the dark, stifling night. Well, that's the first decent meal I've seen you eat in India, Henry.
It was good. I'd like to eat there again tomorrow, Fred.
Sure, why not?
But, of course, you never can tell. The bugs might be anywhere. I'll take some tablets when we get back to the room.
Yeah, you do that. Now, you outwit those bugs every time, Henry.
Oh, say, look. Here's a store Prudence would like. Nothing but ivory. Fred, wait a moment, will you? I want to look.
Master Bakshish for a sick man,
I looked back. That same poor devil of a leper had moved out of the darkened doorway of the store and was pawing Henry.
No, get away from me. Don't touch me. Please, no, leave me alone. Fred is half.
Here, voila, pick him up.
For heaven's sake, get away.
Thank you, Master.
He touched me, Fred, right on my skin. He touched.
Come out of it, Henry. Nothing's going to happen.
Look. See? Fire, no hurt.
Oh.
Don't look. Come on, let's get back to the hotel.
Fred, his hands. He can hold the flame to them and feel nothing. And he touched me with them. He rubbed me on the bare skin, on my hands and here, on my arm and wrist. I felt it, Fred. I felt it rubbing into me.
Henry, believe me, you don't catch leprosy that way. Now, nothing's going to happen to you.
I've got to wash. Right now, I've got to wash.
Henry washed all right, thoroughly. He washed for half an hour. This I didn't mind, but as I turned and twisted in bed through the hot blanketing night, I could hear him. Every few minutes, washing. He kept it up day and night. Wherever we were, washing harder and harder. He scrubbed those places on his arm and wrist with a brush until the skin was rubbed raw. For 2 days it went on like that, but I let it pass. I didn't say anything. I needed him for the tour, good or bad. Gosh knows he wasn't worth much in that state, but he was docile. Nice and docile. Nothing seemed to bother him so long as he had a place to wash. Henry, you're clean enough for tonight. You've got to grab some sleep.
If I keep at this thing, maybe I can prevent infection.
If you keep at it, you'll wear your arm away.
No, I figure if I just scrub down in there below the skin, I'm sure to kill it.
Henry, we're pretty well finished up here in Bombay. Tomorrow I thought we'd shove off for Bangalore and look around.
Sure, Fred, that's fine by me. Anything you say.
A day there ought to be enough, and then Madras. The way things are shaping up, Madras may be the spot for the plant. Henry, Madras. I thought we'd stick around Madras about a week.
Okay, Fred.
Yeah. I thought you might wire Prudence and ask her to meet us there.
No. No, I don't want to do that. Not now.
Why, Henry?
There's no point in it. I'd rather she stayed in Delhi until this tour is finished. She's used to it there, Fred, and there's no telling what you and I will be doing.
Why, Henry?
I don't want Prudence to come. That's final.
All right. Just forget it. But, Henry, listen to me. Please. Stop worrying about that leper touching you. Nothing's going to happen.
We will return to Escape in just a moment. But first, tomorrow night, the Lux Radio Theater brings Joan Fontaine and Charlton Heston to its microphones, co-starring in The President's Lady. It's the true scandal-ridden story of President Andrew Jackson and his wife Rachel, with Joan in the title role and Charlton as Old Hickory. That's on the Lux Radio Theater. The same night, CBS Radio stars Mr. John Hodiak in Suspense's production of Hellfire. Yes, tomorrow night on most of these same CBS radio stations. And now, back to Escape.
Madras, South India. A warm, wet wind off the Bay of Bengal. The ceaseless rustle of the cocoa palms outside our hotel. And the inevitable snake charmer with his toneless pipe. I worked hard in Madras. Maybe too hard. I didn't see that Henry was cracking up. Badly. But don't get me wrong. He made good sense. And on the business side, it was perfect. When I said yes, he said yes. Anything I didn't like, Henry didn't like it either. Ideal for me. He had the big reputation from the States which the Indian people wanted, and I ran the show. I was hoping to nail down a deal right there. A day or two more, and we'd be all set. And it had been a long time. A long, long time. But, as I said, poor old Henry. Coming apart. One afternoon, I was going over plans in our room.
Yes. Yes, I understand.
Then, with the plant here, we'd have to put in a railroad siding leading somewhere through just about in here.
Oh.
There's room for a landing strip just to... Henry, what's the matter?
Nothing.
What the devil are you up to? What are you doing to your arm?
It's all right, Fred. Nothing. Go ahead with the plan.
No, I want to see. You've been pinching yourself. Henry, for heaven's sake.
I want to make sure that I can feel it when I pinch myself. Sometimes I don't.
Henry, now, sit still and listen to me. And try to get this through your head. You haven't got leprosy.
Oh, yes.
No, there's not a chance in 1,000,000 or even 10 million that you've got it.
Yes, but that man...
I know the leper touched you, but the disease is just not that contagious. If he rubbed you all night with his hands, you wouldn't get it. Now, take my word for it.
There are exceptions, Fred.
Yeah, maybe, but I doubt it. And you're not one of them anyway. Now, Henry, believe me. There's not a chance in the world of your having leprosy. And if you did, you wouldn't know it for years.
But I catch things easily, Fred. I always have. And when I pinch myself here on the wrist real hard, I don't feel a thing. Honestly. Up here, I can feel it on my arm, so there must be something.
I'm going to get a doctor.
No, Fred. No, please. He might send me to one of those awful colonies here in India. I might never get home.
I'm going to get a doctor.
No. Fred, I believe you now. I don't have it. I couldn't have it. You don't have to get a doctor.
Okay, Henry. We'll let it go for now. But forget leprosy, will you? Just hang on to yourself for a few more days until we get this deal set, and then everything will be fine. Did I say everything will be fine? Just how wrong can you be? I wired Prudence in Delhi and told her to hustle down to Madras on the first available plane, and meanwhile I just played for time, but there wasn't enough of it. Then one night I woke up when I heard Henry moving about during the quiet hours of the early morning. His bed lamp was on. What is it, Henry? Henry, what's the matter?
Oh, Fred. I have it. I'm diseased. I have leprosy.
No. Go back to bed, Henry. Please. We'll talk about it in the morning. Everything will seem different in the daylight.
Come on. It won't help to talk about it. I've got it, that's all. I'm unclean. Fred, I'm a leper. A leper.
Please. Henry, try to sleep.
Oh, Fred, I can prove it. Watch. See, I don't feel a thing. The flesh is dead.
No, stop that. Stop it, Henry.
I'm diseased. A leper. An untouchable.
No, you're not. You're Henry Rydell, an American businessman from Cleveland, Ohio, with an obsession. You're all right, Henry.
Here, you do it, Fred. No, here, stick me with this. Anywhere on my lower arm. I'll show you. I don't feel it.
Henry, stop it.
I know I'm diseased, but I won't touch you, Fred. Just stick me with the pin as deep as you want. Do it, Fred. Do it. Go on. Stick me, stick me, stick me, stick me. I'm a leper.
Yeah. I guess that's right. You try to sleep now, Henry.
Yes. I'll sleep, huh? I'm tired. Fred, you won't tell anyone about this. I mean a doctor or anyone like that.
No, of course not.
It's got to be our secret, Fred. Not even Prudence can know. You see, they might try to send me to one of those colonies, and I couldn't stand it, Fred. Fred, you promise?
I promise, Henry. Now go to sleep.
When this deal is signed for you, I'll just disappear, Fred. I don't know where yet, but nobody will ever hear from me again.
I got up early the next morning to meet the plane from Delhi. Prudence was coming. Thank heaven she was coming. Henry was still sleeping like a stone. I left quietly, praying to get back with Prudence before he waked. I was scared, and, well, I didn't like myself much. I had dragged Henry into this appalling mess and then let it get out of hand because I wanted that contract. I wanted to make a buck. On the way from the airport to the hotel, I tried to break Prudence in gently, but the simple fact that I and not Henry had wired her was enough to convince her that something was seriously wrong.
Fred, please, you can stop beating about the bush. Just tell me what's wrong with Henry.
Well, Prudence, he has an obsession. He thinks he has leprosy.
Oh, no.
He's not in his right mind, Prudence. You've got to be prepared for that.
But why didn't you send for me sooner, Fred? Why didn't you?
Well, he didn't want me to.
He doesn't want to see me. But he's needed me so much all our lives. All I've ever done is take care of Henry. At home, I always...
Prudence, now, try to understand. This isn't home. It's India. And Henry thinks he's a leper. At the hotel, Prudence and I hurried to the room. But the door was locked from the inside.
Henry! Henry, open the door! It's Prudence! open the door?
I know he's in there.
Oh, I want to help you, darling. Please let me in. Please.
Prudence, go away. Go back home.
No, I want to see you. Please let me in.
It's no use, Prudence. Forget me. I'm unclean. Go back home.
Henry!
You've got to forget me, Prudence. Don't you see I'm dead? For you, I'm dead. I'm finished.
Oh, Henry.
Henry Riddell is dead.
I went after a doctor then, fast. Fortunately, there was one with offices right in the hotel building. Nice-looking young fellow, an Indian, dark and slender, and he wore Indian rather than European clothing. It certainly wasn't very coherent, and a perplexed expression came into his face. But he took up his kit and came along with me. We may have to force our way in, Doctor.
So? This is a very strange case, Mr. McAllister?
It sure is. Now, here we are. Anything happen, Prudence?
No, he won't even answer me anymore.
Henry! Henry! Well... Henry!
See? I don't feel the fire. Part of me has died. Who's that? Fred, who's that Indian? Mr. Rydell? No. Don't you come near me. Don't. You've got it, too. You all have disease, leprosy, and I've got it. Get away. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. No, Fred. Don't let him touch me. Don't let him touch me, Fred.
That was it. End of chapter. Dr. Pedaswamy shot him full of drugs, knocked him out. A few days later, Henry Rydell left India by plane and on a stretcher. Tied down, too. But Prudence was along to take care of him. As for me, tough. I lost the contract. Deserved to, I guess. The way I treated Henry, dragging him around India in that condition. End of chapter, but not quite the end of the story. I knocked around Asia for months after that, and all the time I wondered how poor old Henry came out. But never a word. Then one day I found myself back in the States again, in Cleveland, as a matter of fact. I went out to see what had happened to him. Henry was not in a leper colony, or even an insane asylum. Henry was in front of his own house, raking leaves. He looked older, but otherwise fit enough. Funny thing, though, I said hello, and he said hello, and then he said...
I have to go in now.
But Henry, no, wait a moment.
Yes?
Well, I just want to tell you that I'm glad you're well again. You don't know how glad. It's a load off my mind. Henry, you remember me, don't you? Fred McAllister.
Yes? I remember you.
How's Prudence?
Prudence is in good health, thank you.
Fine. Happy to hear it. Well, aren't you going to...
Oh.
What's the matter?
Nothing. I'm all right.
Henry had grabbed his left arm as if it had suddenly been scalded, burned. And you know what it was? An ant. A tiny ant crawling on the skin. Feeling had come back to his arm all right, with a vengeance.
Well, I have to go in now. Goodbye, Fred.
Bye, Henry. I'm glad to see you home again.
Under the direction of Anthony Ellis, Escape has brought you The Untouchable, a story by James Leal Henderson, starring John Daner as Fred and Parley Bear as Henry. Featured in the cast were Joan Denton, Jack Crucian, and Charles Davis. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Next week.
You are in your house, surrounded by all that is secure and normal. While outside, your children are playing a new and wonderful game, the result of which will mean for you a fate from which there is no escape.
So listen next week when Escape will bring you Ray Bradbury's terrifying story, 0 Hour. Tomorrow night, when Arthur Godfrey beckons to the new talent scouts and their discoveries, you'll meet Ed Stroll, a popular songman, Martha Flowers, who has a way with semi-classical songs, and the Fletcher Peck Trio, as unusual a novelty group as you've heard in a long, long time. They're all potential winners on Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts. Yours for fun and human interest, tomorrow night on most of these same CBS radio stations. Be sure to hear it. Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts. This is Roy Rowan speaking. And remember, there's action as a policeman really finds it in 21st Precinct, Tuesdays on the CBS Radio Network.
Instant Ralston and regular Ralston, the hot whole wheat cereals in the red and white checkerboard packages present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy are trying to drive off one of Prince Baccarati's atmosphere ships before it destroys a small submarine in the great sea of Planet X.
We're driving him off, Hap. Yes, sir. He's cut on all rockets. But what happened to the sub?
We'll take care of it later, after we've chased that atmosphere ship away.
Commander, they're firing at us.
They want to play rough, we'll cooperate. Stand by to fire space torpedoes.
We're hit!
Knocked out our starboard rockets. We're out of control.
Commander, we're going to crash!
We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, the Sea Monster of Planet X. Only 9 days left to enter the Name the Planet contest.
Space Patrollers, this is Commander Corey, reminding you that you have only 9 more days to enter the Name the Planet contest and win the giant rocket clubhouse and $1,500. Only 9 days left to win one of the 750 Schwinn varsity bicycles. But that's time enough to enter and win if you act fast. First, go to your Weatherbird shoe store. Say, let's listen in on a fellow who just arrived at his Weatherbird store.
Hi, Mr. Weatherbird Man. I want a coin album and entry blank for the Name the Planet contest.
You bet, son. Here you are. And it's absolutely free. You don't have to buy a thing.
Inside that free coin album are 3 space coins and a place to write your name for Planet X. Then, just get 3 more space coins from 3 packages of Hot Ralston. You'll find a space coin in every Hot Ralston package. Put those 3 coins into the empty slots you'll see in your coin album. Then, write the best name you can think of for Planet X on the entry blank and mail it to the address shown in the album. Of course, you keep the album with the 6 exciting space coins for your own collection. But don't delay. I want every space patroller to have the opportunity to win my Rocket Clubhouse and $1,500. And 750 of you are going to win Schwinn varsity bikes. Remember, go to your Weatherbird shoe store today. Get your 3-coin album and space coins. Then get 3 more space coins from 3 packages of Hot Ralston. The new Hot Ralston packages with a picture of Happy or myself on the front. And you'll be ready to send in your entry in the Name the Planet contest. Hurry, see your Weatherbird shoe dealer and get Hot Ralston today.
And now, today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, the Sea Monster of Planet X. What is the fate of Prince Baccarati? That's the question uppermost in the minds of Commander Corey and Cadet Happy as they maneuver the Terra 5 slowly over the great sea of Planet X. In their last adventure, Buzz and Happy cornered Baccarati and Dr. Malengro in a deserted city under the sea. But the prince and his henchmen slipped into an escape hatch and shot toward the surface in some sort of sealed capsule. Now, as their spaceship circles over the approximate location of the engulfed city, Buzz and Happy watch the viewscopes for a sign of the strange cylinder containing the 2 men.
There's not a thing on the surface, Commander. By the way that capsule shot out of that tube down there in the city, I thought sure it'd be bobbing on top of the sea like a cork.
A lot of things could have happened since then, Happy. It took us at least an hour to get back through the tunnel to the inland valley and then blast off. The chance that cylinder is more than just a sealed life raft. That cylinder might be able to submerge and move underwater.
Like a submarine.
Exactly. For all we know, it could move at tremendous speed.
And there's no telling where Baccarati is now. He may be hundreds of miles away. Or he might be heading for shore to get back to his spaceship.
He wouldn't try that, Happy. For hundreds of miles along here, the coast is lined with bluffs 1,000 feet high. Even if there was a stretch of beach, there's still those enormous breakers.
Yeah, waves a couple hundred feet high at least. Besides, if he got ashore, Baccarati would have an overland hike of 50 miles to the valley.
If Baccarati can control that cylinder, he'd probably try to get back to his castle.
But that's thousands of miles from the sea.
Yes. He has a few installations close to the rivers.
That's right. If he reached one of those, he could get a spaceship or an atmospheric job.
The mouth of the Colossus River is to the east, Happy. That's probably where Baccarati would head.
Yes.
If he's underwater, it'll be difficult to locate, but we can't give up till we find him and know for sure he'll never bother us again.
Meantime, far from the steep bluffs that rim the coastline of the Great Sea, a bullet-shaped craft skims the surface of the ocean at tremendous speed. Huddled in the tiny compartment, Prince Baccarati and Dr. Malengro anxiously study the small but baffling control panel and its weird symbols.
Malengro, do something to stop this thing.
But, Your Highness, I know nothing about this ship, or whatever it is. Remember, it was built hundreds of years ago by an ancient race here on Planet X.
Don't give me a lecture. Get it stopped before it carries us out clear to the middle of the Great Sea.
I can only guess as to the function of these controls. Suppose I were to touch something that would open the hatch and let the water in, we would sink immediately.
Then don't touch it. Don't touch anything until you're sure.
Your Highness will be patient. I think I can reason it out. This indicator here seems to be a compass. It's logical to assume that the wheel inside the calibrated dial controls direction.
Careful now, Malengro.
We're changing course. See, Your Highness, I was right. This wheel controls the steering mechanism.
Then head back for the shore, quickly. We don't know how much fuel we have.
Excellency, I suggest that we proceed either up or down the coast. To approach close to the shore at this point, well, we'd be dashed against the cliffs.
All right. But at least let's not get out of the sight of the land.
I wonder which of these controls submerges the craft.
What do you want to submerge for?
Corey will be searching for us, you know. On the surface, we would be fairly easy to find.
Yes, that's right. But be careful now.
This vertical lever, I'm going to advance it slightly.
We're going under. Right to the surface again. Malengro, do you hear me?
Yes, Your Highness.
Don't submerge again until you know how to control this thing.
Yes, Your Highness. But may I point out that the only way I can learn to control it is by trial and error.
Malengro, which way is the Colossus River?
We're heading roughly in that direction now, sire. Eastward.
Go up the river to my spaceship factory. If we go ashore now, we'll have to cross hundreds of miles on foot.
You are right, Excellency. The river is our best choice.
Do you think we have enough power to reach the factory?
I have no way of knowing, sir. We can only hope for the best.
Flying in a zigzag pattern over the surface of the great sea, Buzz and Happy work their way toward the mouth of the Colossus River. Hours go by, and still there is no sign of the bullet-shaped cylinder containing Baccarati and Malengro.
I guess they must have sunk, Commander.
Perhaps, but let's not underrate the people that built that undersea city, Happy. Oh, we need some help with our search.
Yes, but who's going to help us?
Why not Baccarati's own men?
What?
When he doesn't return to his castle in a reasonable length of time, they're going to come out to Crater Valley, aren't they?
I guess so. And they must have known he was headed there.
Of course. They'll find his ship. That means they'll make trouble for the natives, thinking they must have done something to the prince. We don't want that.
No, sir.
I've thought of a way to protect the natives and at the same time start Baccarati's men to searching the sea.
How, sir?
They'll go back to the valley and pick up Baccarati's ship at a magnetic holding field after cutting on the spacephone's distress signal in the other ship.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll circle back out to sea and after a time drop Baccarati's ship into the water.
Great. That'll bring a flock of his ships to search for him.
It should.
But how are we going to get Baccarati away from his men after they find him?
We've done it before, Hap. We can do it again.
Elsewhere, thousands of miles away in Prince Baccarati's castle, two men listen intently to a spaceophone signal.
That's the boss, all right, Arkin. He's in trouble.
Get a fix on him, Warbin.
I'm getting it. Out toward Crater Valley.
Those natives must be giving him a bad time.
Don't be stupid. What can ignorant natives do against a spaceship in flight?
That's right.
Besides, he's beyond the valley. He's out toward the Great Sea.
We better send some ships out after him. Uh-oh. He stopped sending. Maybe he's okay now.
Look, Arkin, when an automatic emergency code signal cuts out, it means real trouble. He may have crashed.
Let's not sit here gabbing. I'll alert the gang at the spaceport.
Wait a minute. Hold it. This may be a chance to get ourselves in real good with Baccarati.
Wait a minute.
I send somebody else out to get the glory. We'll be relieved here in a few minutes. We'll get a ship and search for the boss on our own without telling anybody.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But if he's really in a jam and we don't tell him...
Of course he's in a jam. A bad one. If we find him, we're heroes. Big shot. If we don't, well, nobody will be any the wiser. How about it?
I'm with you.
We just won't log that distress call. You know, opportunities for advancement.
Now, in complete control of the strange submarine, Malengro pilots the craft toward the mouth of the Colossus River, while Prince Baccarati peers up through the transparent dome, watching for Commander Corey's spaceship.
We're approaching the mouth of the river now, sire. See how the headlands are flattening out? In an emergency, we could land anywhere along the beach.
All right. Does this stuff have a spaceophone on it?
I do not think so, sire.
Wait a minute. I think I see a spaceship.
Where?
Over there to the right. Just swimming over the horizon.
You're right, sire. I see it.
Submerge!
But, Your Highness, I don't think it's Corey. It's approaching from over the mainland. Corey knows we're somewhere in the sea.
Well, then it's one of my own ships.
It must be, Excellency.
I wish there was some way to signal him. This sub is so small he might not see us.
I'll increase our speed, sire. Zigzag over the water. The white foam of our wake will be visible for miles.
All right, do it then. It is one of my ships. I can tell now.
I picked up something in the viewscope, Commander. The moving object on a heading of 147 degrees, now 23 degrees low.
Headed right to the spot where we dropped Baccarati's ship in the sea.
It's an atmosphere ship, sir.
You hold this altitude, Happy?
Yes, sir.
God, there's only one ship. I expected 10 or 20.
Yeah, with the big boss in distress, I figured every ship on Planet X would turn out.
Possibly more will show up later. Our main job now is to keep from being detected. Marcus, turn your scanners up to full sensitivity. We're near the spot where the boss's signal cut out.
Looks bad, Warden. It's out over the Great Sea.
Yeah. No sign of a wrecked ship. Probably sank.
Baccarati still might have made sure.
If he was lucky. I'd hate to take my chances with some of the things that are supposed to be in these waters.
They said it. You know, I hear there's a giant jellyfish.
Wait. Put that down there in the water.
The white streak.
Well, let me adjust that viewscope. Cut our velocity, will you?
Sure.
Some sort of surface. Shaped like a projectile.
Look at it. Oh. What's it zigzagging like that for?
Evasive tactics. Want to make themselves a tough target.
Where'd he come from? Never saw anything like it before here on Planet X.
Probably some new Space Patrol gadget.
Now we know what happened to Baccarati.
Yeah. It blasted him out of the sky.
We better get away from here or we'll be next.
There's maneuvering down there. I'd say he was afraid of it. Let's blast him with a space torpedo.
It's going to be tough to hit.
Yeah. But it'll look good if Baccarati's ashore watching us. All right, hold this heading, Arcot. I'm going to cut loose.
Missed him. All right, let's get away from here before he fires back.
Now, wait, let's make another pass. Maybe he used up all his ammunition on the board of the ship.
Commander, that ship's firing at something down there in the water.
I saw the explosion, Happy. Adjust the viewscope.
Right. Smoke and rockets. There's a small surface craft down there, sir.
That's what we've been looking for. Baccarati.
But why are his own men firing at him?
They have no way of knowing it's Baccarati. They aren't taking any chances.
That atmosphere ship's coming back for another pass, sir.
Got to drive him off, Hap. I'm going to take Baccarati alive.
Jesus, he's cut on all rockets.
We'll keep after him till we run him off.
Yes, sir.
We'll chase that atmosphere ship way out to sea.
Commander, they're firing at us.
They want to play rough, you'll cooperate. Stand by to fire space.
Commander, we're hit!
Knocked out our starboard rockets. We're out of control.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment.
Space Patrollers, this is Carol. I want to tell you about the 750 beautiful Schwinn varsity bicycles that 750 lucky Space Patrollers are going to win in the Name the Planet contest. They're big, husky beauties. Schwinn, the best bike made. With 3-speed gear shift, 2-wheel handbrakes, and all the other famous Schwinn features. And you can win a Schwinn. But there's not much time. Go to your Weatherbird shoe store right away. If you don't know where the nearest Weatherbird shoe store is, you can find out in the yellow pages of your telephone book. So don't wait. See your Weatherbird shoe dealer and get going now on the Name the Planet contest.
And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, the Sea Monster of Planet X. Unable to locate the small submersible craft by which Baccarati and Dr. Malengro escaped from the undersea city, Buzz devised a plan to lure Baccarati's own men to aid in the search. After turning on the emergency spaceophone signal in Baccarati's deserted spaceship, Buzz and Happy lifted the ship by magnetic force field and then dropped it into the great sea. 2 of Baccarati's men picked up the signal of the castle and set out to rescue their chief. They decided the tiny craft on the water was a Space Patrol weapon, and so fired upon it. In attempting to drive off the atmosphere ship, Buzz and Happy were fired upon by Baccarati's men. With a hole in the hull of their spaceship, Buzz and Happy are now circling helplessly over the great sea.
A torpedo tore out of starboard rocket control, Happy. We're losing altitude.
If that atmosphere ship comes back, I'll sure let them have it. Our space weapons are still in order.
Apparently they're glad to be out of the fight, Hap. They know that was a lucky hit.
We're just going in circles.
We're trying to set her down on the beach.
With the side push of the rockets, what's to keep us from swerving out into the sea?
I'll spiral down till we're on course parallel with the shore, then cut rockets.
And ease her down with a repeller ray.
Right. If I can groove her down to that long stretch of beach, it might work. This will have to be the last spiral, Hap. One more circle over the land and we'll hit those cliffs back of the beach.
You were right about that atmosphere ship, sir. It's not coming back.
Stand by repeller ray.
Standing by, sir.
When I cut rockets, we should continue on a straight course. Here we go, Hap. Full repeller ray.
You're going awfully fast for a landing, sir.
I know it, Hap. I've canted the repeller ray forward to give us some braking action.
It's working, sir. We're slowing down. Oh. Nice going, Commander.
I'd hate to have to do it again.
If the spaceophone works, we can call Pluto Space Patrol and let them know we're here.
At the same time, let Baccarati's men in on the secret? They could get here quicker than our ships could.
Yeah, that's right. We wouldn't stand a chance.
Let's take a look at the damage, Hank.
Yes, sir. Hey, that's some hole.
Yes, but we're lucky. The torpedo hit us a glancing blow and didn't explode on contact.
It sounded like it did.
It was a couple of thousand yards behind us when it blew up. Well, this is going to be a job. But I think we can handle it. Let's get to work.
Far out from the beach, a metallic object lurks just beneath the surface of the sea. Then, cautiously, a transparent dome rises a few inches out of the water. Carefully, Prince Baccarati scans the sky and then turns toward the beach.
Hold it, Malengo. Keep it just as it is. Yes, Your Highness. Corey has landed on the beach. Is their ship damaged, sire? It doesn't appear to be. Yeah. Wait a minute. There's a hole in the hull. Why the gash? Otherwise, it seems to be all right. There is Corey. He's trying to repair the damage.
It's going to take him some time by the looks of it.
No, we'll wait till they're just about finished. Then go ashore and surprise them.
Excellent, Your Highness. But suppose Corey's ship is too badly damaged to blast off.
There'll be at least one workable spaceophone transmitter aboard. We can call the castle for help. All right, Malengo. Submerge. And make for the inlet on the other side of those rocks.
Its motors purring, the sleek craft moves underwater and then turns into the inlet. The dome breaks the surface as the tiny sub moves toward the shore. A gentle grinding sound tells Baccarati and Malengo that their craft is in shallow water.
All right, Malengo. Cut off the power.
Yes, Your Highness.
Now open the hatch. Do you know how to do it?
I think so, Excellency.
We'll have to wait ashore, Malengo. See that your weapons don't get wet.
Yes, sir. I think this is the hatch release. Getting it, sire. There.
All right. Boost me up, Malengo.
Yes, Your Highness.
All right. Now, come on, hurry.
Coming, Your Excellency.
Arms held above their heads to protect their weapons, Malengo and Baccarati wade ashore, hidden from the spaceship by large rocks. But their movements are not entirely unobserved. 4 pairs of eyes are on them as they emerge onto the beach. 4 pairs of eyes attached to a single barrel-shaped head. The head rises up from the quiet waters of the inlet, several hundred yards offshore. Supported by huge coils, the head rises farther out of the water, and a ripple of excitement passes down a gigantic body. Then the head is lowered until only the eyes are above the surface, and the monster moves silently toward the beach. Meantime, Commander Corey applies an atomo torch to the outer skin of the spaceship's hull.
I think that does it, Happy.
Yes, sir.
Rough job it'll have to do.
Didn't take as long as I thought, sir. I just hope we've got all those wires connected right.
We'll get back in the ship and make a final test before we try to blast off.
Yes, sir.
Take the torch, will you, Hap? Thanks. Hold it, Happy. You tend to examine the hull of the ship.
Yes, sir.
I thought I saw something move down the beach toward those big rocks.
Oh?
It might have been a large seabird, and then again it might not.
I got a glimpse out of the corner of my eye, sir. There is something moving.
Uh-huh. It's a man crawling along the sand.
Baccarati.
Yes. And Malengo's right behind him.
What do we do, rush him?
No. Pretend you don't notice anything. Be very interested in the ship's hull. Then casually get into the ship as though you're going after more tools.
You want me to bring out a ray gun?
Yeah. Keep them hidden, though. We'll wait for them to rush us and then let them have it.
Yes, sir. Smoking rockets.
Are they coming?
Well, no, sir, but I just saw something else. Maybe I'm space happy. One of those big rocks is moving.
If we weren't on Planet X, I'd think I was having a hallucination.
What is it, sir?
There's no name for it. Centuries ago, on planet Earth, it would have been called a sea monster.
Yeah, but it's on land. At least part of it is.
Well, it sounds. It's moving very quietly.
Commander, it's after Baccarati and Malengo. We better warn them.
Wait. You don't know how fast that thing can move. Any noise or sudden motion might make it attack right now. Get into the ship, Hap, and bring a couple of blast guns.
Yes, sir.
But move slowly, Hap.
$100 feet more and we can rush them.
Corey's there alone now.
Keep your head down. Just keep crawling. Keep low. What's that?
Your Highness, it's a monster.
It's after us. Run, Malengo.
Right between the rocks. Run for the rocks. Help! Hurry! Help!
Hurry, Happy. Get those blast guns.
Coming, Commander.
It's attacking them. They've hidden between those rocks.
Smoking rockets.
Give me a gun, Hap.
Here you are, sir.
Help! Help!
They're still alive.
Monster can't reach them.
Oh, if it had raised its head, I could blast.
Now, hold it, Happy. You might hit Baccarati and Malengo. We've got to get closer. Come on.
Commander, it's trying to pull the rocks apart with its claws.
I can't waste any shots on this thing, Happy. I'm going in close and divert its attention.
So be careful, Commander.
When it moves toward me, we'll both fire.
Help!
Commander! Commander, here he comes.
Let him have it, Hap.
Run, Commander! Run! He's down. Hey, we got him.
Keep away from him. Watch out for his tail.
He's done for, sir.
Took a lot of doing. All right, Baccarati, you can come out now.
Oh, Commander. What a dreadful creature. It nearly had us. Commander.
You saved our lives.
Yes, Commander. I'm very grateful. Why, those awful jaws came that close to me. Malengo and I were just going to surrender when that monster charged us.
Got it, Baccarati. We saw you trying to sneak up on us. Now, come on, into the ship.
Yes, Commander. Of course.
Wow, I thought we'd never finish that thing, sir. I emptied my blaster.
Better collect our weapons, Hap.
Right.
No, you don't, Cadet. Stand right where you are, both of you.
Commander.
I warn you, Cadet, don't move.
Your Highness.
Don't be frightened, Malengo. Corey and the Cadet are helpless. Then they empty their blast guns into the monster.
Sorry, Commander. I had to open my big mouth.
Just keep your hands up, both of you.
All right, Baccarati. What are you going to do with us? Take us to your castle?
Oh, no. I'm going to leave you here.
Your Highness, they did save our lives.
Shut up, Malengo. I know what I'm doing. After all, they do have an even chance for survival.
Oh, you ungrateful coward. You mean you'd leave us here on this beach, miles from any settlement?
It's all right, Hap. We don't ask favors of space rats.
You get hungry, you can eat. There is plenty right over there where you're sitting.
Yes, Baccarati. We could eat sand. In fact, you said a mouthful.
My eyes!
Get Malengo, Happy.
Yes, sir.
I'll take that ray gun, Baccarati.
Commander, honestly, I never would have left you here. I was just joking. Cadet, you believe me, don't you?
Oh, sure. And that sea monster wasn't serious either. He just wanted to play.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
Hiya, Space Patrollers. Cadet Happy speaking. Listen, I got something important to tell you. If you haven't already entered the Name the Planet contest, you're missing out on the biggest chance you ever had. A chance to win a gigantic rocket clubhouse and $1,500. And you're missing 750 chances to win a Schwinn bike. So take off for your Weatherbird shoe store and get your free coin album and contest entry blank. And then zoom over and get some good hot Ralston. Remember, see your Weatherbird shoe man and see your grocer for hot Ralston. And hurry up. Do it now.
And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Cadet Happy is approaching a small fortress in a jungle clearing on Planet X, where Commander Corey is being held captive by Prince Baccarati and Dr. Malengo. Baccarati glances through the gun port.
We got company. The fool, the little fool.
What are you talking about, Baccarati?
Coming across the clearing from the jungle. It's a space patrolman. You're a cadet.
Happy.
Watch Corey, Malengo. I'll take care of the cadet with this blast gun.
Baccarati, don't.
Look, Corey. See what happens to those who defy the will of Prince Baccarati?
Be sure to join us next week for the thrilling story, The Revolt of the Space Rats, when Instant Ralston and Regular Ralston again present Space Patrol! Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Mike Devery. Other players were Bela Kovach, Ken Mayer, Norman Jelly, Dick Fields, Virginia Hewitt, and Tom McKee. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when Instant Ralston and Regular Ralston again present the new exciting Space Patrol. This is Dick Tufeld in Los Angeles reporting on a plane that can fly 1,000 miles without refueling, the North American FJ-2 Fury. In a moment, we'll hear from the well-known test pilot on this Navy jet fighter, J. Ray Donahue, Jr. The Fury is a carrier-based plane armed with 4 20-millimeter cannons. It flies 650 miles per hour, has an altitude mark of 45,000 feet. Its length, 37 feet. Now, J. Ray Donahue, Jr., recorded at Edwards Air Force Base.
To fly at supersonic speeds, a test pilot must have plenty of energy. That's why I always get a good night's sleep and start the day off with a good breakfast cereal like Rice Chex or Wheat Chex. They have plenty of energy, and they taste mighty fine. And I know that you'll like them, too.
No other cereal, puffed or flaked, contains so much nourishment in such concentrated bite-sized form. So take a tip from J. Ray Donahue, Jr., Bob Love, and other top test pilots. Make your cereals Rice Chex and Wheat Chex. Be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol program on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.